Hi guys, welcome back to this African Perspective. Thank you all for stopping by, and if you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping here today. Okay, so we're going to be talking about or looking into videos of people complaining about the present economy, and we're looking into a lot of topics today, touching into how a lot of Americans that are not even in their retirement age are cashing out their retirement funds because they really need it to survive, and how the economy is, talk about inflation and everything that really matters and affects our life. All right guys, but before we get right into this video, make sure you please click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and make sure you hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. Let's get right into it.
How are people surviving financially nowadays? Because me and my husband make decent money. We only have one child. We have regular cars. We're still paying them off, so we have car payments. We live in a decent area, nothing fancy. And I feel like we're constantly struggling. And there's people that make less money than me and us, actually, and they're living wild lives. Like, are people just racking up all this debt? Or am I just doing something really, really, really wrong? Because I feel like I'm always trying to pay something off, or I'm always on a budget. And then student loans are due next month and nobody's talking about it. Like, how?
For a lot of people, it's really challenging to live these days. Everybody's just struggling real hard, and I know, like, by all means, come on, who is supposed to be struggling like this? At least if somebody is not even working or even trying at all, they're not attempting to better their life in any way or form, then you'll be like, okay, yeah, you should be struggling because you're not working hard. But a situation where people are still working hard and there's nothing to show for it despite doing that, it's like a curse. Like, you're not even progressing at all in any shape or form. So also, I just want to advise, like, for most people who really like want to buy a car, I think their car payments, most times I think there are some people who really have the money. Maybe some of them have complete money to buy cars from the dealership, and then when they go, they might actually talk you into financing the car, just paying here and there monthly. Is because they actually profit from the interest rates that actually comes with it. And sometimes your interest rates, sometimes when you're signing it, you never really know, your interest rates could actually be increasing as you go further. And I think, like, the profit that is gotten from that is way high. So for some people, like, you ain't always have to have, like, you don't have to have a flashy car. If you have money set in your hand, maybe if you can gather some money, just go and buy a car from someone, maybe a used car, to try to cut on your cost. Maybe, I don't know, this somebody might find this helpful, but just buying your car with cash is way more cheaper and better for you. You find yourself not having car payments later, and you just focus on other bills that you have.
Gives a whole new meaning to pull-out game. This is actually really not funny. People who are nowhere near retirement age are cashing in on their retirements because they can't afford to live without it. People have maxed out their credit cards. They are absolutely desperate, and worst case scenario, like, break glass in case of emergency, pulling your retirements well before you're ready to retire. And that is exactly what's happening, and that's exactly what people are doing. So what does this mean for the economy as a whole, you ask, aside from the fact that, like, everything is terrible right now? Well, see, rich people would have you believe that it's only rich people who have money on the stock market, that it's big banks who have their money on the stock market. But what is that money? Well, a good chunk of it is retail. A good chunk of it is people like you and me that potentially have been putting away into 401ks for their retirement. So naturally, what's going to happen when a lot of people start pulling their money out of the stock market? Things are going to implode. You're no longer going to have the mass numbers of money that you had before in the stock market. And as we've seen in the past, things tend to have a chain reaction. You get one domino going, and then it's like, and fear catches on like wildfire. So even though people are legitimately just pulling their retirements because the economy is so bad and they can't afford anything, traders are going to start to see numbers plummet and go, what the beep is happening? And they're going to get spooked and start pulling their stuff too. And the reason I think this may end up looking more like 1929 than even 1987 or the dot-com bubble or the wimpy 2020, like, little blip on the radar, is because we don't have anything to rescue us. Quantitative easing pulled us out of the 2020 crash. Jerome Powell just absolutely exploited the crap out of quantitative easing. And we can't use that again. And we shouldn't anyway, because it only benefited billionaires. This is just going to be a terrible run-of-the-mill 1929 style crash. And my guess is that it's going to be an L-shaped recovery. You know, we go down and then it just goes for a while. There's no ridiculous bounces because of checks that everyone gets and quantitative easing, which all corporations got. Just pain. And it's been a long time coming, and the Fed has just kicked the can down the road. Well, we're at the end of the road, and are you guys seeing a soft landing? Because I'm not seeing a soft landing. There's only one way that we're going to land, and it's on our faces, on the pavement. This absolutely sucks, but it's been a long time coming.
Some of these companies are very fraudulent with this 401k, because I know someone who said he was paying for it. He kept on paying for it during the time he worked at a company. So when he was ready to leave the job, he told them, like, he's leaving the job. He found another job, and he told them, okay, can I get my money back? And they told him, oh no, you haven't been paying into it, while he was paying into it. And they just blatantly looked at him in the eye and just lied like that, and just tell him, you know what, bye, like, you never paid into that. So just imagine when somebody worked there for years, put in the work, his money was going straight into it, but then look at him and lie and say, no, it's not, you did not pay for it. And he clearly did. So I tell you, the way they just scam people, just do all sort of things to people, is just crazy. And now many people are even pulling out of stuff like that. I know maybe it's not for all companies that are like that, but yeah, there are so many things that Americans pay into, that at the end of the day, a lot of people are benefiting a lot from it. They are getting a whole chunk, and it's just some specific small group of people. It's not like the whole masses are actually getting benefits from them. No, they're not.
Do y'all know what happens every time the government loses control of the people? The first thing that they do is try to make us dependent on them. Why? Because they were hired to give us services. The first thing that they do is inflate the price of everything so that nobody can afford anything. And then huge corporations start laying off people in enormous amounts. And now you do not have the means to survive. And so what are you going to do? They're probably going to offer some type of program to try to help people after they have caused the fucking problem. And all of this is happening right now, and I don't think anybody is paying attention. The reason why they're making these cop cities is because one day you are going to be paying attention. And they want to be prepared to militarize the police force against us. And they've already proven that they're not above it. Look at what's happening in Palestine. Look at what's happening in Congo. If you think for one fucking second that we are exempt from that, y'all are loony. And I hate to sound like a broken fucking record, but Black people have been saying this for a long time, because people love to act like what's been happening to Black people happened 400 years ago. Baby, they dropped a bomb on Black people in the 80s in Philadelphia on a residential neighborhood because they thought that was the best course of action, killing children, just like what's happening in Palestine and Congo. So if you think that for 1 second they're not going to do that shit to us, y'all are crazy, because the system is fucking collapsing and has been collapsing since COVID. And there's so many people just waiting around for the world to return to back to how it was pre-COVID, but that is not going to happen. The system no longer works, and they cannot let it go. So what they're doing over in Palestine, I feel like that's just a test, because it's about to get way worse for us. And right now they seeing what the fuck they can get away with. And basically we just on the internet talking about it. Sending donations doesn't help if the donations doesn't get to the people. Yes, getting on TikTok and talking about it does put pressure on people, but what else are we going to do, y'all? Because people have organized a blackout on August 1st where nobody was supposed to spend a dime, and it was supposed to, bankrupt the economy, which it very well could have, but people still went out and spent. They said don't spend on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and people wasn't even paying attention to the fact that companies extended their Cyber Monday and Black Friday to be the whole fucking month so that they could count it for that quarter. So even if you waited a couple days after Black Friday or Cyber Monday, you still spending according to their plan. And it wasn't a lot of reporting on it, but the people in New York shut down New York. They're not reporting on what's happening in other countries because they are protesting and they don't want us to get any bright ideas. But you know us, we keyboard warriors. So we're going to be behind this keyboard all day, but when are we going to get in the field? That's the real question. Voting does not work. They already proved that they rig elections. Paying our taxes does not work. They don't even know where the fucking money is. Hell, the people even losing 85,000 of our kids and we ain't still did nothing. When is enough gonna be enough? I'm truly
I know there are a lot of people that are like, oh, we need to have a revolution. This generation entirely, when we find that some things are wrong, be it with the government, with the society, more of where we have like the energy to talk on is just to go online, be on social media talking about it, then, typing. There are some who are typing, there are some who are creating the content. It's just mostly it always ends in social media. And even the social media, at the end of the day, most of these platforms, they even silence it to even have the freedom of speech and be able to say some certain things. You cannot, because if you say it, I mean, the owners of it, the people who set the rules and regulation, will not let you breathe. So it's like it's just crazy out there. And the crazy thing is, if you want to have like a change in something and you want to like fight for it and achieve it, most times you guys need to come together. There needs to be unity among the people. But when there is no unity, maybe I guess the whole inflation and the struggle, the sufferness and the poverty that is being put upon everyone around the world, maybe it's going to bring unity for once. Because I think more people are kind of gaining their senses and thinking that, oh, I think we just have one problem, and the problem is our government, all of them. So because most times people are like, oh, there's this separation in the society. Everybody's like, oh, let me mind my business. My own problem is my problem. I shouldn't care about the other. But now it seems we all have a common goal. But still, when you guys are even trying to unite, there are still those people that are in the midst who believe that whatever is happening is not happening. They are just delusional. Their brain is just totally, they live on a whole different planet. And they could be dealing with the same situation you're dealing with, but because they just cannot comprehend, their brain is just out somewhere. And then they'll be fighting you guys.
Hold on a second. Don't scroll past this video because by the end of it, if you're not already fucking pissed, by the end of this video, you're gonna be as royally fucking pissed as I am.
Rant inbound.
Have you realized that these gas prices that are shooting up, not creeping up, shooting the fuck out of the roof like a motherfucking cannon? I'm in California, Los Angeles, by the way, if you don't know. Our gas prices probably over the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, have rose by like over fucking $1.50. You see, in Atlanta, Georgia, the governor suspended the gas taxes in order to give its citizens a break on the rising cost of gas. Now, normally when there's a rising cost in gas, there's a reason. Maybe some wildfires in LA. We have a lot of wildfires and shit like that. Maybe, there's war going on and, there's something happening and that's causing our prices to go through the roof because we maybe depend on foreign oil. But we don't. We're doing our own barrels. We've depended less and less on foreign oil for the last like 10, 15 years. But yet, these fucking prices are going through the roof. I wonder why that is. I've been seeing all these videos across TikTok where these wealthy billionaires and millionaires are talking about busting the economy and actually making unemployment skyrocket in order to make workers thankful for their jobs again and afraid for their living. So literally they're talking about in order to make us obedient, they want to destroy us by making everything fucking expensive, purposefully breaking the economy. Haven't you realized in LA alone, our rent has continued to go up, even though they're talking about it's on the low. The news lies. Don't listen to that bullshit. Rent is continuing to increase in here in Los Angeles. It ain't dipping down. So, the rent's high. The gas is high. The food's high. Back in the days, you used to say, oh my God, it's so expensive to eat healthy. I gotta eat fast food. They say, people are in these food deserts. Now we're just in a fucking desert because it's just as expensive to eat shitty food as it is to eat healthy food. So they make the food so expensive, you can't afford either one. I drive for a living, so I'm out here on these roads day in and day out. So I see the changes in gas prices, and obviously I use a lot of gas. So when I see these prices creeping up, I notice that shit. It affects everyone. And if you say it don't affect you, you're fucking crazy, because it does. It affects everyone. And I didn't even mention healthcare, a system that's subsidized, and these companies double dip because the government passes our money that we pay in taxes to them off to third parties, i.e. insurance companies, that take all this money and then turn around and charge us premiums and deductives. So if you're not royally pissed, that the fact is our governor, Gavin Newsom, hasn't even attempted to say, you know what? Let me suspend these gas taxes, which, by the way, in California is the highest across the country, because we have about $1.27 of tax per gallon. Fucking ridiculous. Just think about that next time when you're going to do your shadow vote for voting for governor and voting for all these fucking people, because literally we're voting in our own misery. These people are fucked, both sides, Republican, Democrat. But key point, it was a Republican that suspended the gas tax in Georgia, not a Democrat. At the end of the goddamn day, all an American wants, and I'm speaking as for myself as an American, all an American wants is higher learning, education that's affordable, where it's not going to bog me down in debt for the rest of my life, a livable wage, something that I can buy a house with, something I can start a family with, and put clean, undrugged food on the table for me, myself, my kids, and whoever else is in my life, as well as be able to take a vacation every now and then and not have to worry about working myself like a fucking slave for pennies on the dollar. That ain't even worth shit anyway.
So I'm waking up this morning and I'm doing my normal morning thing where I drink coffee and I scroll the internet, check my royalties, right? And I don't know how nobody else is noticing this or even speaking on it for that matter. But it's like on one side of social media, internet, how even American media, we have our celebrity gossip where they're constantly highlighting these absurd spending habits. Blueface makes an unexpected stop on his private jet to get a McDonald's cheeseburger, resulting in a $10,000 expenditure. Kim Kardashian showing us this modern display of Christmas lights in her $70 million mansion. Cardi B bought another Birkin bag. Elon Musk decided to buy an entire car company over a Twitter beef in a dick measuring contest of a $1 million proportion. And it's like, I'm not pocket watching. I really don't care what anybody does with their money, nor is it somebody's responsibility to get rich and give to the poor, right? And everybody doesn't have to be Robin Hood. But where it becomes an issue for me is when I'm watching stuff like this being force-fed to us on a regular basis, and then I tune into the other side of social media and American mainstream media. And what do I see on the other side of social media? All of us povels struggling horribly, right? You see these constant stories about all of our economic crisis, inflation, etc. The housing market has gone up absurdly. They're not even being honest with us about the actual increase in inflation. It's something to the tune of 50%. They're trying to tell us 13%. That's a lie. A bunch of corporations buying up houses, driving up the cost of houses while simultaneously paying people less. Like the post I made yesterday, my friend's been with the company for 7 years. In this year alone, she went from making $89,000 to $56,000. That is a $33,000 decrease amidst the worst inflation we've ever experienced. Our food, our vaccines, our medicine, it's all here for profit now. It's been capitalized on. Cancer treatments that cost $200 in Europe cost $28,000 in America, which is fucking insane, by the way. People can't afford to live anymore. The cost of living has tripled in comparison. There's no increase in pay. There's nobody advocating for us. There is nobody fighting for us. There is nobody candidly speaking on this. And then when you turn in to the people who put into legislation laws that could potentially protect us, you see that they're cornering the stock market. They're outpacing everybody by 40 to 50% as a direct result of the legislation that they're literally putting into place to eliminate the middle class and the upper middle class. There is no middle class. There is no upper middle class. There is just poverty and the absurdly fucking rich. We're literally an entire country chock full of overtaxed, underpaid, overworked, obese, sick, lonely, and depressed slaves who are currently being distracted from that fact with fictitious gender wars, foreign enemies that don't actually exist, or celebrities who are the exception to the rule that is the American dream turned nightmare. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, we are living in a post-capitalistic hellscape designed to maintain a military-industrial complex that has eliminated any remnants of a normal American life. Some of us don't want to be the exception to the rule. I don't need to be a millionaire or a billionaire. I just don't want to pay $200 in groceries to feed my children cancerous, genetically modified, fake fucking meat. Riddle them up with vaccinations and then send them off to a school that indoctrinates them to believe that the polarity is the only option they have in way of American government because they're too fucking stupid to vote for their own good interests. I want to give you guys an example of how ridiculous this shit has gotten. I'm scrolling my TikTok feed and I regularly watch the refugee camps from the Palestinian refugees, and I see Americans just saying the most hateful shit, bullying them in the comments while they're huddled outside of a fire next to their tent in freezing cold temperatures, right? And they do this because Americans are angry and they've been told that it's their fault because our tax dollars are going to their war. Never mind the fact that we're not kicking ass and taking names when it comes to Congress and Senate for allowing hedge funds to buy up 1/3 of the available homes in America, driving up the cost of the housing market. We're not cornering the people who put into legislation the same laws that allow them to corner our stock market. We're not cornering the people who went ahead and approved $60 billion to go overseas. We are millions, billions, trillions of dollars in debt because of these people who are taking payouts from big farm, lobbyists, senators, Congress, governors, all being crooked and deciding where our tax dollars go. And it is certainly not to us. No, instead, what do? What do? We blame the foreign people who don't make legislation and don't vote into power the people who do. We blame the immigrants for depleting our tax resources and not the people allocating them to them. And it is absolutely infuriating. I mean, infuriating to listen to these stories about how the American military has $1 million spending budget for Alaskan king crab. How we lost an $80 million fighter jet. We sent $200 million to the Ukraine to fund their war. We are simultaneously funding Israel and Palestine's war while publicly backing Israel. I fail to see how this is the problem of any foreigner at the bottom being crippled by our decisions here in America, because this is the fault of Americans. It's our fault for not paying attention where our tax dollars go. It's our fault for not paying attention who we vote into legislation, who passes the laws to determine the budget associated with our tax dollars or what could potentially protect our economy. No. We're blaming the foreigners. I got to watch Action for Children budget get completely annihilated so single working mothers in America can no longer go to work. We want to argue about SNAP benefits for the impoverished American class that's being crippled by the legislation. These greedy money huggers are just taking up. And it's fucking insane. We got an election coming up, and your vote has never been more quintessential to the existence of America. And if you think it's going to be a Democrat or a Republican to save us, you're smoking deep fried dick. The system is broken. It's broken as fuck.
All this suffering that we're going through, to think that group of people sat down, actually demonic, because you got to be demonic for you to watch people struggling like this and talking and complaining while you have so much money to be doing all sort of things. You just have to be demonic to watch this happen. But anyways, people who all these things we're going through, they planned all of this. They made it like it's just a plan to make us go into suffering. The fact that I have to work 2 jobs and at the same time I'm posting content, and at the same time you would think that maybe if a person is working 2 jobs, maybe with content creating, I would say that is a job too, because now I'm doing 3 jobs. It is so stressful, and it's like every day I feel like my whole body is breaking down and I feel like I'm going to fall apart at the end of it. It's like I'm just trying every day I wake up like, oh God, please help me. Let me make it another day, because it's a challenge just to be able to, pay the bills and be able to like live just a decent life. The fact that most people are not even asking for a lot. Most people are not asking to have like the best of the best. People are not even asking to be extremely rich, working, and still are not even able to survive with it. It's so difficult. And my God, like I just have so much around to go, because the fact that I think of like me having to do 2 jobs is so stressful. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who even have to do more. It's really hard. It's so difficult out here. But I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to keep going. We just have to pray that everything just gets better, because what can we do? But anyways, guys, I really appreciate you all. Yesterday we got to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you all. And you guys can send me super thanks. You can support the channel, and I leave the link to maybe Cashapp. And if you guys feel like supporting the channel, I really appreciate it so much, and I appreciate your love and support. Thank you all so much, and God bless you. Guys, please make sure you click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.